research in salivary glycoproteins. This is interesting because I think, I want to say on last week on our book club call, one of our participants was talking about, or maybe it was on the call with Debbie. He asked a question about something that was going on with one of his salivary glands. It's also interesting to me because there's some research, some Parkinson's research that on the oral microbiome and a reduced amylase genes in the Parkinson's oral microbiome, which be, not able to break down the amylase.
Yeah. Well, any insights I might have are really going to be dated. I was doing this stuff in the late 60s.
Well, you know what I have found, as I have dug through many and gone down many rabbit holes, is a lot of times some really interesting research was done in the, I'll say 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Yeah.
Never went anywhere. And it's like the funding sent people off in other directions and didn't follow up. I just found that kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, mine was a more pleasant story. I mean, I was in my last 2 years of dental school at the University of Kentucky, and I was confronted with what amounted to an abundance of opportunities. So for 2 years, I had those fellowships, and really all I was doing was counting the number of glycoproteins in saliva. So it was primitive. My buddies would always tease me and say, you're the world's leading expert on salivary glycoprotein.
Well, now you've given me a whole new rabbit hole to go look at, because I've been looking at the glycocalyx. I think I've talked about that a little bit on here, but that's basically the fuzzy coating of everything.
Yeah.
It was largely ignored for a long time. And then one of the pioneers in the research is Hans Vink, and most of his research is in the vasculature. But, essentially what we're finding and what we're working on with Dr. Minim is that it's everywhere. It coats everything. It is the gut lining. It is the brain lining. It lines every cell is surrounded by it.
Yeah. When was he doing that work?
Well, Hans Vink has done work for the last 35 years on the microvasculature, and actually has filmed what the glycocalyx endothelial surface layer looks like in microvessels. It's pretty fascinating, because what they initially thought was that those microvessels would have been filled with red blood cells. Yeah. Just packed. But they are not. So there's very few red blood cells in the microvasculature. It's mostly filled with that gel-like glycocalyx.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, and it's really important to our overall health. So it's also interesting to me because the bacteria are also surrounded by a glycocalyx. And some other sort of interesting things in research, when they're looking at, they're spinning down cells and doing all this stuff, they dehydrate things often. So they're basically removing the glycocalyx. So, and that's, probably, I won't say probably, I think it is the critical communication structure that surrounds a cell. Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine there are lots and lots of items of interest that we've just blown off the map in some of the techniques we've used to look at the things we thought we were supposed to be interested in.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that one of the things I learned actually from Dr. Ninham, he said, scientists know when they're developing a test or a method of whatever they're studying, they get it to work.
Yeah.
The main thing they say is don't change the buffer. Well, of course, the buffer is made of like all these electrolytes and different things that are in there in whatever the ratio they needed to get the result that they wanted. And of course, we're this complex system with all these buffers flowing through us all the time.
Yeah.
And so, we just keep doing reductionist science and not really thinking about how everything's connected.
Yeah. Well, I think that has the possibility for change now.
Yes.
Just the possibility.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Rick. Good to
Hey.
see you.
Good to see you.
I'm good. Sorry, I was delayed by a coaching session that went a little long, but here we are. You know
Another
how that
Rick
goes.
Walbart, huh?
It might be a me problem,
Oh.
but yeah.
So I was telling Jen, I was telling Rick that we're working on a project with the First Nations people of Australia.
Wow.
To do a study with sugar shift and revascus. So I was on a call, an introductory call with them, to kind of see what that looks like. It's very interesting because they have major problems with diabetes and kidney disease, but it's also, I'll leave it to their expertise, but it's challenging because they have 17 different tribal groups and they all have different languages. And so, that could be really, really interesting and challenging, but,
Oh yeah. Are you going to go down there? Are you going to be part of like the information gathering or?
Well, I haven't, that hasn't been brought up as a part of the thing at this point, but I think it would actually be kind of interesting to go down and see that part of Australia. I went to Australia. John and I went to Australia back in 2009, but we went to Melbourne and I was like, okay, well, this is kind of like an American city. We did go out into the countryside, but, we didn't see, it's like people who come to America and they go to New York City or, you go to one place and you don't really get the flavor of a country by doing that.
It's such a big country. It's epic.
Yeah.
Have you been, Rick?
No.
Yeah.
No. I've known people from Australia, but I'd like to come back to that group that was having such trouble with disease. Is there any speculation that they have experienced the same thing that our native populations have been? Monstrous sugar influx.
Right. Change of diet. That's what I was
Yeah,
too.
they have had, I think that is one of the issues is the processed food.
Yeah.
And they also do not have good water quality. So, one of the projects that they're working on is actually water, but I would say that is also an issue in America where people think we have good water, but we don't have good water.
No, that's right.
And the more I dig and find out different ways that we do water treatment, and we use, I didn't realize this, but we use some form of aluminum in water treatment as a flocculant. And of course we fluoridate the water. So you have fluoride and aluminum, which, it's kind of like the gut. A wastewater treatment system is sort of like the gut. You put all this stuff in there together, and who the hell knows what you're going to get out of it?
Yeah. I may be able to shed some light. I go way, way back with a guy who was who is an engineer, but he's also a friend of mine, and he became a patient of mine, I would say, at least 40 years ago. And so I introduced him to some art things, primarily pottery, but also introduced him to the big organization and his wife. So he's had a couple of nice promotions, and one of them was to be the head of the water department here in Tampa. And he's moved on to city manager. So in the right circumstances, I might be able to get some information on generally the kinds of things that happen.
That would be interesting. I've thought, I'm in a small town back where I grew up, and I've thought about going down to the water plant board and seeing if I could get some answers. Because one of the things I actually was thinking about in terms of water, so, Kentucky has had I'll say a higher disease burden than a lot of places
Right.
earlier.
Right.
Whether that's obesity or diabetes or heart disease or, any of that. And Kentucky also has the largest watershed of any state in the contiguous states. So Alaska is the only state that has more watershed. So if you think about all the water coming down from the states above us, that are very industrialized.
Yeah.
I just wonder how long our water systems have been taxed with the chemical burdens of the northern industrial state.
Yeah.
And, the water systems weren't designed to deal with that. They were focused on bacteria. It's also interesting, Dr. Ninham, the Australian scientist that I'm working on the Parkinson's project, they also have technologies for cleaning water, and with basically a CO2 bubble column. So carbon dioxide kills a lot of most bacteria. Carbon dioxide will kill it. I did learn this week, this is very interesting for those of us who are fans of Lactobacillus reuteri. Reuteri is actually resistant to carbon dioxide. But these bubble columns, a gentleman by the name of Mark Adams, I think in the might have been the 1930s or the 1940s, basically showed you could, just by shaking up water and making these tiny bubbles,
Right.
kill a lot of the bacteria.
Might be way too simple.
Yeah, possibly. But that kills the bacteria, but we still have all these chemicals now in the water system. And I have a pretty fancy water filtration system here. And but then you've got to remineralize, and I think a lot of people put in a reverse osmosis system.
Not thinking.
And they don't realize they need to remineralize, and that causes, issues downstream from not remineralizing. So I've been really deeply into looking at what's happening to our health because of mineral deficiency.
Right.
And back to that, I think I talked about it a few weeks ago, those books on the Minnesota starvation study. I don't know what I did with them, but and the loss of micronutrients is it's alarming.
Sure.
Hey, Chris, you got to unmute yourself.
I'm really surprised and shocked at how little attention is given to the problem of people having RO systems and not taking minerals to replenish them. It's really I have client after client, some coming from a functional medicine doctor who likes to refer me in specific situations, and some have been demineralizing their water for 30 years and feeling okay about it. And I know some of the systems incorporate minerals that are to be added, and that's part of the protocol. But I wonder, why isn't this something we look at more as, maybe Jen knows, as, you know, when we're working with dietary needs as nutritionists, as, you know, it's, do others find that same issue?
It seems so obvious to me that if you have this almost sterile water, why wouldn't you demineralize it?
I'm
But
surprised that, like the companies that install the systems don't say something about it.
I don't think they know.
that's, yeah.
Some of them do. Some of them do. I when I checked out different things, that was really one of the factors that I considered. Now we have Berkey, and that's what we use, but we were considering a house system, and I just considered the ones that were, you know, owning up to the fact that minerals are required or minerals are provided.
Yeah. I was referring more to the medical establishment.
Okay. Okay, right. I hear
Well,
you.
I don't think they know about nutrition. So they don't.
Right.
So if you don't know about nutrition, you
Right.
don't know about minerals.
All right.
So this is actually my public water system. I don't even know what, you know, trihalomethanes are, but or haloacetic acids. Those don't look very good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody wants me to look up their water system. I can do it by zip code.
I think I would be too depressed.
You look
I
up
know that-
Tampa 33629.
Let me look that up.
That's the one that the buddy of mine was head of the water department. I can kind of needle him about with questions.
Oh,
Jen, how's the apical growth hormone research going on?
I'm just happy it's still living. I'm watering it, not ready to prune quite yet, but before
Yeah.
before the first frost. For
Okay,
sure.
good.
Yeah.
It'll amaze you.
I'm yeah. Yeah, I've moved on to some very labor heavy projects now, and removing stone and stuff like that. So lots of projects here.
okay. Well, you've got some stuff in there too.
Oh boy.
I
Yeah.
don't know what perfluorohexane sulfonate, where that comes from, but you're well above. So you have the trihalomethanes also, and the haloacetic acids, and the chloroform. That's interesting.
Was it 33629? I'm looking. I see 62903 something. I'm lost here.
Are you on the environmental working group, or what are you looking at my?
I'm looking at your thing here.
Yeah. So this is Tampa.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Uh-huh.
It's hiding behind here somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I see. I can remember a physician asking me, where would you have gotten all the arsenic that you have?
Uh-huh.
Well, there you go, right
There
there.
you go.
So, I mean, I guess I'm curious what, it's interesting too. One of the groups I talked to a while back about water quality was talking about, like, as it gets recycled,
Yeah.
through. So if you look at, say, out west, the water in Colorado is kind of first use water.
Uh-huh.
And then as it goes down through the Colorado River system and into Lake Mead and Lake Powell, and it gets used and recycled and sent down line. You know, when you get to certain cities in, say, California and Arizona, that water has been recycled through different systems many times.
Yes.
And I think it's actually, I might have had this conversation with David Lewis. So David Lewis wrote a book called Science for Sale. He worked for the EPA as a scientist. He was at the University of Georgia, I think. And, you know, he looked at water, but he looked at all kinds of different things. So he was actually the scientist at EPA who was responsible for the change in the dental equipment, where they found that the dental equipment, I don't know whether it's the cleaning spray, something was contaminated with HIV and was spreading that.
Oh.
And they changed that. And he did some similar work on the colonoscopy equipment, but he ended up losing his job over research in biosolids, which is basically taking the solid waste from our wastewater treatment plants that they have turned into $1 billion industry and are, you know, selling it as fertilizer.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's got all these chemicals in it.
Wow.
And he did some research for a farmer in Georgia who like used it as fertilizer and all his cows died.
Ooh.
My God.
And so David did that research, and then he started researching where else it was used, and it had been used in like public parks and areas around low income places in Baltimore. And you know, the more he started poking into that, the more trouble he got into. And
yeah, we certainly never heard anything about it.
no, you know, often don't. And the people sort of disappear. In fact, so I was at a conference with him in 2019, and I talked to him a couple times since then, but I've reached out to him 3 or 4 times in the last year and a half and have not heard from him. So I hope he's okay.
Yeah. Spooky stuff.
It is spooky stuff. So the work I'm doing with Dr. Ninham, one of the areas that he focused on early in his career, so back in the 1980s, he was doing some work on surfactants.
Yeah.
And he basically discovered that surfactants are immunosuppressant. So they incorporate into the cellular membranes and suppress immunity. And so he told me about getting invited to Procter & Gamble to present to the scientists there. And he and his co-researcher, I think they were at the University of Minnesota at the time, went down for a meeting, and the scientists there, you know, they weren't aware of it. So he, you know, they went through their research and stuff, and then they went out to a nice dinner, and the executive on the way to the airport, as he's dropping them off, says, be careful in your travels. Accidents do happen.
Oh no.
And so his research partner didn't continue the research, but but you know, there's not a huge body. I mean, what's interesting is the work has never been refuted, but they went through a concerted effort, like all the companies with the big cleaning supplies and everything, went through a concerted effort to change the names of the things from surfactant.
Right.
And change some of the regulatory framework in the EU. And it was interesting too, because we're working on a Parkinson's documentary, and we interview people with Parkinson's. And about a month ago, we interviewed a young onset physician so he's an orthopedic surgeon, pediatric orthopedic surgeon, and he was diagnosed with Parkinson's I think he said 2021. And I was asking him about different chemical exposures, and I brought up these. So the surfactants are also quaternary ammonium compounds.
Yeah.
And so I, was asking him different things, whether he'd been exposed to. And he said, that's a really interesting question. He said, when COVID broke out, they changed what they were cleaning the operating theater, and they used this product called Quat, Quat. And I looked it up. It's a 3M product. And, if you're in a surgical theater all day long and they're constantly cleaning that stuff, you had and about a year. So it was about a year later that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. But, and we also talked about anesthesia, like exposure to anesthesia, because as a surgeon, he's in that operating room, and oftentimes, the people have the gas, but their mouth is open. And he said you could smell the gas coming out of their mouth.
Yes.
So he's also been exposed to anesthesia, and both of those things changed the structure of the gel-like membrane that is the glycocalyx.
Right.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh.
So really interesting. So, the question is, can we change it? But how can we fix it and change it back?
Right.
And, that's the $1 million question.
Right. Well, I think our eyes are being opened by the threat of all sorts of things to our health.
Yes.
I really don't see it as a completely negative thing until we start denying it and covering it up.
Well, I was on a there's a group called IPAC EDU. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's IPAK. And it's James Lyons Wilder is one of the people who runs it, but they have different speakers, and they had a speaker, it's probably about a month ago. He wrote the book Sleeper Agent, and it's about Lyme disease and the biological warfare research behind that. And but one of the things he said at the end is, in order for us to solve the problems that we have today, we have to first admit that we have them. We have to admit the mistakes that we've made.
Exactly.
And then we have to put our collective effort behind solving the problem, because we're good at solving problems if we admit that we have a problem.
Right. Yep.
So therein is the challenge.
Easily said.
Yes. And I actually got a new book. I'm going to test the waters for the next, it's not a science book, but I'm thinking about, I just started reading it. It's called I Never Thought of It That Way.
Oh,
And it's about how to have fearlessly curious conversations in dangerously divided times.
Oh, that's an excellent book.
Great. Oh,
That's
And
a
I'm
great.
like-
read it, Jen?
No, I'm ordering it
Just
as we speak.
yeah.
Just the title. Yes.
I've just got a
it's-
backup of 700 books. This will be okay.
Yeah.
What's
I
one more?
thought, this might be a really good book to cover, because we might all learn a little something about how to have difficult conversations with each other. Because I think that's the other challenge to our solving these problems is, you
Yeah.
know, they've divided us and got us in the corners.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like they're the enemy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we can come together against the enemy and solve our problems instead of fighting each other. Like, let's like figure out where the real problem's coming from and
Yep.
come together. But that's not always easy to do, but
Never easy.
but
Well, there's denial about a problem, but other people just want to skip to a solution. And I find that is empowering, even if it's not a perfect solution, like water filtration. You
right.
know, I have many clients who, if this conversation would be, would invite a lot of fear and, just hopelessness. Like we're just being attacked from all sides, and,
Yeah, you got to let go of that.
Doesn't
You got to let
matter.
go of that and say, okay, there's some things I can do and I'm going to do them now.
Yeah, exactly.
And they may not be perfect, but
Mhm.
I'm going to, yeah.
But then other people are just in complete denial, like, oh, our municipal water is great. Milwaukee has the best water in the country and blah, blah, blah. We know better. I'm not going to fight them. I'm just going to do my best water filtration that I can. And it's shifting sands though, because you find that, like, I don't know. I don't have the ability to do a whole house system. And so my solution has been to refill 5-gallon jugs. And I used to do 5-gallon glass jugs. And then to carry them up and downstairs was the most epic workout you can imagine. It's so darn heavy and awkward. And then my beautiful glass jugs, because they got a little bit of sunlight hitting them,
They got
started to grow mold.
green algae, or
green algae. Like I couldn't clean it. You can't get in there.
Right.
And so then I switched to plastic. So now, I've got this beautiful RO water with the minerals that I put in afterwards, but it's plastic. How much of that is getting into my body? Now I've got this Berkey coming from Maha, which I'm so excited about. But then I have a friend saying, those filters, there's something fishy about. They stopped making filters. Now they've got this other company. I don't quite trust it. There's always some shit. Excuse my language. There's always some
planting some piece of doubt. Yeah.
I think we've had a Berkey for years, and there has been controversy around the filters, but I think you can investigate and get enough to feel confident like we do. There are people who have addressed the problem, and I'm not saying it's the best solution, but we're satisfied. We feel like we found a way through that. For a while, we couldn't get our filters.
Yeah.
And so, and then somebody stepped in, a couple of different companies stepped in and offered up a solution. In fact, Jen, I'll send you, I'll talk to my husband about it and send you what he knows about it. Okay.
Okay. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I bought a John Ellis water machine. You want to look at a contraption. It looks like a spaceship. Actually, I'm not using it anymore, but when we were in Colorado, I would make distilled water basically once a week. And this guy's really interesting. He's probably 90 now. He looks fantastic, but he was a aerospace engineer, I think, or something. And he came up with this device. It's circular, and then it has this side tube, and the water goes out and through a UV filter, and then it spins around and cools and drips out it's the strangest looking contraption. But he has all this research had changed the bond angle of the water, the hydrogen bond in the water. And he has this one study, I think it was a study or a, documented thing where there was a like sewage or a sludge pond on a, like, I don't know whether it was cattle or pigs or whatever, but you know how they have the waste ponds, and they were being fined like $2 million a day because they couldn't get the smell and all of it cleaned up. And I want to say he poured like 2 gallons of the water in there, and overnight all of the bad bacteria gone. And this gone. And I'm like, I don't like, how the heck does that work? But water is also, it's one of the things, like, people take water for granted.
Yeah.
But there is like so much more to water.
Yeah.
Than, the structure of water, why does it expand when it freezes? What, like all the different things it does. And, there's just a lot more properties to water than I think we have any appreciation for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me, what's the first?
Well, I don't know if this will add.
Go right ahead.
I don't know if this will contribute to the conversation, but art has led me a bunch of different places. And the thought I had as we were talking about improving the Berkey was a concept called wabi-sabi. Anybody ever heard of it?
I don't think so.
I think
It's a basic principle of, I'll say, Asian philosophy, and it's acceptance of the imperfect. We're all trying to find peace, and we live in a very complex time, no matter when that time was. You do the best you can, and you accept the imperfect.
I like that. I think that's actually, and that's a really good principle for the people who get so overstressed by all of things.
Yes.
Like, I say, like, I can't do everything. We can't do everything. Like, nothing's going to be perfect. It's, you've got to live your life. So you live your life with the knowledge that you have, and you make the best choices that you can make every day.
Yep.
And sometimes you're going to want to eat ice cream, and guess what? It's going to have fructose in it.
And still feel good about it. You're doing the best you can.
About it. Taking extra
emulsifiers and right. But those little chocolate chips in there are pretty good. I was going to say 2 things. Let's see. Okay, what's the name of the book? The first 3 words. I'm not finding it under difficult conversations.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
I
got it on Amazon already.
Monica Guzman.
Good. Okay, I never thought of it that way. And the other thing,
did you order the wrong book?
I did.
Well, there are at least 25 that are about difficult conversations.
Well, I got the one with the same cover.
Okay, good. And I just wanted to mention, what is it called? Wabi-sabi? Wabi-sabi?
Yes. And there's a book on that. WABISABI.
Yeah, I have seen it referred to. And here's what I'm doing to get wabi-sabi. I tried Martha's Perfect Peace, and it is really good. And it's very noticeable. Pardon?
It's amazing.
Okay. It's amazing.
What do you notice, you guys?
Okay, Martha told a little story about a fairly horrific night before one of our book groups or one of our meetups to the group about all these things that just did not go right. One thing after another. She was traveling, so we can all picture that, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
And she but she had taken in the afternoon 2 perfect peace. Is that true, Martha? Was it 2?
Yep. Yeah, I took 2 that afternoon. Yeah.
That afternoon. And so I took it the other day. I didn't have anything particularly stressful going on, except that I didn't feel great. And that's not a good feeling to me, because then I don't get as much accomplished, And I took 2 and felt really fairly, I would say within a half an hour or 45
Yes.
minutes, maybe less. I
It's
noticed
less.
feeling a very good way.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's the
really
last
helped.
word? What is is it
Peace.
T?
Peace, perfect peace.
Oh, perfect peace. Yes.
Perfect peace. I mean, that's what we're looking for, is perfect peace.
Yeah.
And what if you?
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I'm so curious. Chris, do you wear an Aura ring? Because I thought you were going to track HRV
No.
with it, Martha.
Well, Charlie,
I
did that.
haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have an Aura ring. No, I don't have a lot of gizmos, not because I wouldn't like to. It's just a level of complication I don't have time for right now,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it's really just anecdotal. But guess what? I know when I feel a perfect
But-
peace.
Yeah, exactly.
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 That I could recommend. Yeah.
I actually have the Charlie's Whoop stuff, which I might have
Okay.
showed before, but so this was the day before. So see how his stress was up in the middle of the night? And
Mm.
this is he took the perfect piece right here at the red line.
Hmm.
And look at that.
Whoa. Oh my goodness.
Where do you get
I
it?
Wow.
We have it at
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
at BiotiQuest.
BiotiQuest.
Just launched it last month. We just launched it last month. And I honestly, I was like, I think this is going to end up outselling Sugar Shift, because like people are so stressed and under so much pressure
yeah.
and tension and stuff. And like, so I've started, I still take my Sugar Shift morning and evening, but I've started kind of taking it about midday. Like I'll take it 10 or 11 o'clock and just kind of
Mhm.
takes
Wow.
the edge off of this as the stress of the day. I didn't really realize, like I don't always feel like I'm under stress.
No,
But
yeah.
I got a lot going on, and what I've noticed, and actually Kevin can answer this, because Kevin he can tell the difference in like tell him what you said about noticing the difference.
You have a marked change of mood.
Like in my tone of voice,
Fascinating.
the way I like speak, and just my sense of calm.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well,
It's kind of remarkable, actually.
I took
Yeah.
it once and it made me want to do
I'm-
yoga. I don't know yoga.
It made you want to start. I feel
I'm
like I could be the
wondering if
poster
that
child for the
anxiety
simple
part-
slumber. Oh, sorry.
Are you? You could be, you said. I'm sorry,
I
guys.
could
I'm not
be.
getting a real great connect. You could be. Yeah. Tell us what that does for you.
Yeah. Simple slumber.
Simple slumber has changed
Yeah.
my life, and my Aura Ring data is backing me up on this. And
Okay, you got to send your data, Jen, so we can see it.
okay.
I'll send you a 6-month supply.
Oh,
Send me your data.
cool, because I don't ever want to run out ever. Martha, I have been taking sometimes a lot of melatonin, other times only 20 milligrams of melatonin, but I've
Wow.
been a hardcore melatonin user since about 2016.
wow.
And I went through a divorce in 2015 and basically stopped sleeping
Oh,
And it's been a journey. And, you know, and I've talked to Dr. Davis a lot about melatonin, and he's you know, and then other sort of health influencer people, you know, are taking 100 milligram patches and stuff like that.
oof.
So, you know, I've been kind of fearless with it, but it's ebbed and flowed. And you know, I was down to 10 milligrams at one point, and, you know, and then crept back up to 20. 20 was my nightly routine. And then sometimes a little pump under the tongue halfway through the night to finish out the rest of the night. I slept through the night last night for 7 hours with no melatonin, just one simple slumber right before bed. This is so
Wow.
unheard of, Martha.
Yeah.
For me, I just can't even tell you. And I wanted to tell you, you know, we've been talking about other stuff, but I'll be your testimonial. I'll be your poster child. Whatever you need, I'll do it, because this stuff's magic.
Oh, I love that. I mean, the thing about like simple slumber or perfect peace is that you know immediately that it's worked for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sugar shift is sugar shift is remodeling your whole gut ecosystem and like cleaning up the trash and doing all this stuff, but that doesn't happen in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's something you have to commit to and follow through on. And it's, you know, we know from our data that it continues to remodel, you know, even out. I mean, we did 180 days in some of the people in our clinical trial. And with John, we did 120 days, and we could see it was continuing to remodel. And, you know, Chris, even you said with Ladd, with his iron, you know, doing the yogurt was over 2 years, and then his iron had kind of normalized. And so like, that's one, it's, you know, for a lot of people, that, like you said, Jen, they want an instant answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's not an instant answer, because you're remodeling a whole ecosystem that has had, you know, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years of damage. But these other ones, like, you know, it works.
Yeah,
I
Right
did.
away, you know it works.
I did right away. I was really pleasantly surprised. And I have a more general comment about these microbes. And Martha, I'm not sure if you have L. salivarius in anything or not. I can't
We
remember.
don't.
Okay.
We don't.
Anyway, I found out through Dr. Davis, through, you know, going to his classes, that the L. salivarius was a very good microbe, and it was also good at breaking down uric acid. And I have nobody else in my family has this, except my grandfather had problems with uric acid. He had gout. Mine is more like a systemic gout rather than like a joint that you hear about, or a toe or something. But, and, you know, of course they have drugs for that. And of course I don't want to take the drugs. So about 3 years ago, I tried fermenting L. salivarius. And since that time, I have just very rarely had that ever crop up again. Amazing. And of course, I've done all the other things, like certain foods you shouldn't eat. You should stay well hydrated. Stress is a total, you know, backbone to uric acid production, which, you know, I've got plenty of that, like all of us. So
Are you tracking that uric acid?
Yes, I do have a meter, and I measured whenever I go to my functional medicine doctor, but I was able to bring my numbers down to like around 5.5, which was very good and lower than I'd been. So it kind of went out of my mind. Well, I ran out of that yogurt about maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And I ended up having a really extreme bout of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have, there's a drug you can take for it that's quick acting, which I don't haven't had to take for 3 years, but I do have a little bottle of it.
Yeah,
And I'd
colchicine.
left that.
Colchicine or
I had left that up north.
Oh,
So boy, did I learn about the power of these microbes. Now, Dr. Davis's recipe has a few others that support the breakdown of uric acid
Yeah.
that I have tried and worked with. Yes. Have you tried that way of dealing with it, Richard?
well, the big thing for me was to just knock the hell out of the sugar. And I take a
Really, that
small,
was enough. Yeah.
yeah, I take a
Well, I
small
think
dose
I think
of allopurinol. But I keep the colchicine
Yeah,
on
that's
hand,
one,
but
yeah.
because I can have, of course, down here in Florida, we've got plenty of citrus, but if I have 2 or 3 tangerines, one at a time, I'm seeing
yeah.
visions.
Wow.
God will appear to me.
that's it.
Like this. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
man.
you know better, right? Yeah.
Oh,
It's
God.
it's a very powerful. I don't know if its base is genetic or what, but it's it's manageable. But I am just so sold, and I do think, Martha,
Yeah.
it is way easier to think of. Thanks for sharing your story, Richard. I don't run into too many people who have it, and not too who have that problem, and very few women. It's more of a man's
Yeah.
thing. But
You use BB, is it BB12 that you use
You talking to me?
for the salivarius? Is it BB12?
I'll look. I'll grab it. I've got it right over on the counter. So I've got my yogurt going, and I did take some colchicine, totally helped, and I'm back to a good start. But these lessons where you fall off
Oh,
is
yeah.
where you
Mhm.
sometimes when you learn the most.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
cleaning up the fructose. We had a breakdown on our trips back and forth up north for a few times of getting candy. It's like what happens inside that car is like off limits, no rules, everything goes,
Yeah.
And I didn't feel strong enough to say, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing
Yeah.
it. And I
Yeah.
did it. And I think you're right, Richard. I think it was totally not having the yogurt, but I think it was, one box of, like Good and Plenty or something is just loaded with
Oh, yeah.
fructose and corn. So I,
Yeah.
I really learned a lesson.
Yeah.
And I lived to
Yeah.
tell about it. So thanks
Well,
for listening.
I just don't go off. If I'm taking liberties, I'm talking about eating 2 apples in a day.
Yeah, I know.
Never any chocolate or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just slipping off a little bit.
And drinking's out. That's not a problem for me, but that's way out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long
That's
time, but
just-
I insist on having a beer a week.
Okay. Well, you sound under control. I'm very impressed. But the other thing I wanted to say was, Martha, it's true. When I took this Perfect Peace, a bunch of people came to mind. My brother, people who deal with my son, anxiety. I started thinking, would this be good for LAD and Parkinson's people who have issues with anxiety? And because it's sort of a simple problem that a lot of people have, like you speak of, Jen. Well, you're talking about the sleep remedy, but and it's different with the sugar shift, which is a more has helped a more kind of complex situation, a metabolic situation that is, expanded over time before you might feel the difference or even know if that's something that you could. I mean, I recommend it to all my clients and anybody who's got metabolic problems, sugar issues, everybody. And but when I took that Perfect Peace, individual people came right to mind.
Wow. Great.
That reminds me, I've got to send a note to my niece and see. I sent her a bottle. I need to see how it did for her because she's got a very stressful job. and see if it
I'm
helps.
sending up to my son, has a stressful job too.
So does it
So-
literally act on the vagus nerve somehow? Can you tell us what it's doing?
Can I tell you
Or
what
is that top secret?
Can well, I haven't done a like clinical measurements, but and Charlie's Whoop, it's a proprietary stress measurement, but the product is designed to support the reduction of glutamate. It the reduction of aspartate, to increase butyrate production, to increase tryptophan production, and to activate your opiate receptors, your endogenous opiate receptors.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. No wonder I felt so good.
So,
Wow.
I mean, I think I've talked about this before. Like Raul and I, when we kind of came up with the idea of making these formulas, we sat down over a week in the lab with the whiteboard, and I also had a couple of textbooks on. I mean, Raul's a walking encyclopedia of this, but I had a couple of textbooks on like vitamins that are produced by bacteria, and like,
Right.
just sort of the natural metabolites of different species. And I had a number of books on the different lactobacillus from some other friends of mine who are big into probiotics. And, we just sat down and said, well, like, what are the problems that people are having that we know, like we know somehow we've lost these functions in the gut, or we don't have these bugs anymore. Like, what do we need to fix? And so we like mapped out, and perfect, anxiety, stress was on there. I mean, we have one for hot flashes. We have one we prototyped and did the work with our machine learning for addiction, because we had a basically a ministry group that wanted to consider like making a probiotic to try to help people with addiction. So like we've gone through a lot of different kind of pieces of the puzzle. And then, so we kind of mapped out some preliminary stuff, and then Raul went home and spent a month doing some additional research and kind of putting all the pieces together. And then we came back and started running them through our computer model and kind of tweaking them. So, I mean, we could probably have 20 different products, but we don't have the money to have 20 different products right now. But, we were thinking about like, what should we bring to market next? And I was like, this is the craziest, most chaotic year. Like, everybody is stressed out. The economy's moving around. Like, everything's moving around. We need to bring Perfect Peace to market. So we also have a healthy aging one that we did based on, this sort of came down to, well, we did some research. Let's see if I can find the data on this. We did some research. We had the cohort of our, all of our fecal samples. And at the time we decided to apply for this RO1 grant. We basically broke our data out into, I can't talk at the same time I'm searching for something, but we broke our data out into, let's see if this is it. Age cohorts. And let's see. Show in Finder. Okay. Let's see if the data's in here. Okay, it's kind of tiny, so you might not be able to see it, but let me see if I can share this. And we split out like what was going on in the gut over time. And there's also some published research on this, but you could, so this was, so the, 1 to 10, I don't know. Can you see that? It's very hard to read.
Yeah, it's small.
But-
It's small on my screen. Hmm.
This is bifidobacteria by the age cohorts, and you can see in any
older people.
bifidobacteria.
Hmm.
Wow.
And this over here in the younger people, our only younger samples in this age 1 to 10 and 11 to 20 was autistic,
Mm.
and they don't have bifidobacteria
yeah.
either. So you had,
They don't have, yeah.
so that I had totally forgotten about this, but this Clostridium was interesting.
Clostridium
coli.
good or bad?
I think this one's not a great one.
Okay.
E. coli. What's this one? Lactospira. So I'd have to go dig into what those are, but let me see if I can shrink this back down so we can see what other data I was looking at. So what we took this data so you could see these were some of the key markers. And this is glycan related. So those GLC, you can see the breaking down
Agnes.
of those. So this again, also, this is the autistic cohorts here. And then these are the, as the population is aging, you can see what's happening there. And I have to go back and look at what these metabolic pathways are, but, we proposed doing a larger scale. I don't think there's any more data in there. So we looked at that and we said, okay, so if this is what's happening in the aging population, like how do we basically restore a path to a healthier aging microbiome? And so we have an anti-aging product that probably will bring out maybe early next year. And then we're also looking at a fiber product, because I went through kind of, initially looking at the Parkinson's microbiome and what's overgrown and what's undergrown, and seeing if you could make a selective fiber to feed the good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're working on something in that department right now.
Excellent.
Yeah. Really interesting to hear all that.
But,
The
just like
specifics.
trying to solve problems, kind of back to Jen's thing, like, you can sit around and mope about all the problems we have, or you can do something to fix it. And that's like, sometimes people will say to me, oh, like, all the bad stuff that's in the environment, and like me, how do you get up every day? And I'm like, well, get up and do something about it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Thing.
Yeah.
You just,
That's how I felt last week when we talked about food fix. That was like definitely labeling and recognizing many of the problems. And Martha wasn't sure that we were getting the full scoop on what the problems were or the sources, but then he sat down and itemized actionable steps, links of resources that you could contact to do something about whatever your interest is. And I checked further and saw that they have a packet that you can send for and use it to create a group. It's all like kind of grassroots. And
But that's how we fix this stuff. You know, we don't
Yeah.
wait for big government. We do grassroots. Like we sit here and talk to each
Yeah.
other, and
Yeah.
we share
Right.
information and we educate each other, and then we go out and tell the people we know, and that's how change happens. It doesn't happen
Mhm.
waiting for the government to help us. No, thank you.
Yeah,
Don't sign me up for that.
yeah.
We've had enough of that help.
Oh, man.
Eva, you're on here, but you're awful quiet.
it says on
Maybe-
mine, this video is paused. Eva, are you there?
So
She
maybe
might
she's
be
not
having
there.
video problems. It says it's paused due to problems with your network. I don't know if that Eva's network or yours, Martha. I'm not sure.
Yes, I found out how to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Okay.
We can.
Yeah.
Um, I am quiet, but I am learning so much. And
Mhm.
today I actually thought I would be brave enough to ask a question, and
Good.
but I wasn't. Anyway,
Well, you can ask it now.
well, the question is mostly directed to Jen. Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yes, and I want to mention, I've got Richard beat in years. I'm 85.
Oh, boy.
Right on.
Well, you look fantastic.
No
Well
Well,
done.
thank
kidding.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my very deep wrinkles disappeared after I started using L-Reuteri.
Oh, wow.
And my biggest problem is my atrial fibrillation, continuous 24/7. And I'm hoping with Sugar Shift, and now I do want to order the perfect piece. And
Yeah.
and I do want to find out where I can order. And I'm not sure, was it Salvarius?
Salaveris. Yeah.
El
Yeah.
Salivarius.
Chris, did you find your source for that?
Oh, hang
you-
on one
can
second.
you-
I'll get it.
Oh, thank you.
Because my son, who is only, and he had this when he was still in his late 40s, he developed gout.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know. I touched something that I shouldn't have,
You're back.
You're still there.
Yeah.
but I don't have your page.
You can't see us. We're probably
Oh, there,
yeah, there you go.
there. He developed gout, and he tried alternative, but it got so bad he had to go on the medication, and he got the monitor. And but during COVID, he was taking more vitamin C, and then Dr. Perlmutter came out with the book Drop Acid,
Mhm.
Right.
and we discovered it was the he started taking more vitamin C, and his numbers came down for uric acid,
Ah,
and he couldn't understand it. And Dr. Perlmutter said that it was the vitamin C
Excellent.
that made your kidneys more able to excrete uric acid, if anybody wants to pick that up.
oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
the question for Jen, I also lug water home from the store, reverse osmosis in a glass jar.
Okay.
And I have to ask people to do me a favor to carry it into my house. And luckily it's not in a sunny spot. So I'm still struggling with that, but how do you add minerals back? to the,
To the water,
yeah, to the
to
water.
the jugs. So every time I have an empty 5-gallon jug and I take it off of my crock, I then, before I put the cap back on, I squeeze in some trace minerals.
In what form? What form?
The liquid trace minerals.
Oh, I don't know.
There's one, it's concentrate,
I missed that.
and it's called concentrace. Why don't I look it up? If I put it in the chat, will you be able to open it?
I
Or
think
what would be the best way to share this with you?
Yeah, I'll look in the chat, but once the call is over, I don't know how to get back in the chat.
No, you have to open it now while we're on our call, and then it'll be on your desktop after we hang up. Does that make sense? So here, let's give it a try.
Okay.
Concentrates mineral drops, but this is only step one. I do more mineral efforts beyond this, but this is my basic.
I'm holding up to, I take the bean minerals, so they have humic and fulvic minerals.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, and I have been buying Shilajit.
Nice.
You'll
Which is-
get minerals from that. Yeah.
Yeah, I too do beam, but that's in my glass of water. Martha, do you put it in a bigger tank of water of some sort?
I take a shot of the micro boost, and then I put the electrolyze in the vessel that I have, this spinny vessel thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm doing lots of things to my water before I ever drink it. So into my big 5-gallon jug, I put trace minerals, this link that I put in the chat. And then I'm adding those 2 beam minerals that Martha just showed us. I put those in my glass of water or my bottle, depending on what I'm doing. When I'm working out, I do a different electrolyte mix. Sometimes I do Ben Azadi's magnesium with chia seeds and psyllium husk. And that's a weird looking thing, but it's
That
so
sounds
good
weird.
though. It's chewy. It's really good. I do the Jigsaw. I think you turned me onto this long ago. It's Jigsaw's magnesium glycinate powder. And it's so
for before
tasty.
bed.
And I mix that with psyllium husk and chia seeds, and you leave it out for a few hours and it just gets it's gelatinous, sort of. But it's so good, and I feel very accomplished if I finish it by the end of the day. So I really like that because you get fibers and more magnesium, and then other electrolytes if you want to put them in there. So all day,
Okay,
the point is that I never ever am drinking naked water, even if it's just my water right from my crock. I'm still not doing that. So with this, I have this Berkey thing coming soon, and that's probably going to change a few things. I'm not sure what yet, but we'll see.
Okay, how do I get back into this message thing when the call is over?
Well, you can get the call replay and get back in there, but
Yeah, that's what I have to ask you, Martha. Our last call, I spent hours trying to see how I can get into the replay, and I never did figure it out.
I think they're all public now on our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you go to the BiotiQuest channel, Kevin, is it under Sugar Shift or is it under playlists or?
It's under BiotiQuest. It's youtube.com.
Here, I'll see if I can just try to do it myself.
I'll just, you can send me a text when you head to bed.
Okay.
This should be over fairly soon.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Bye.
Okay, let's see. Oop. Then if I go,
Eva, have you ordered with
that's
us?
your face. What?
Has Eva ordered with us? You might have.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, but I'm putting another order together and I'm glad I didn't because now I want to get the perfect piece
I
and
think
more.
we have your email, so you could email us some stuff.
Okay, so if you go to this BiotiQuest, then the far right, it says playlists. And under the Sugar Shift Challenge, you can view the full playlist. And then,
Okay,
so then it will have all the different calls and different people, and you can look at my good hair and my bad hair and my, look at my chubby face there. Ooh,
What?
that, I look very, I'll say I look dense.
well, I am learning so much that I can't even retain it all.
Well, you can go back and refresh yourself if you want to.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to do because I found our last call so interesting and I wanted to replay it, but I couldn't find it. Now I know.
And then also on here, if I can figure out how to go back, let's see. You can, so I don't know if they're on here. So some of the, so this will have other, so this other one, I forget what I clicked on, but it's like Martha Carlin videos. It will have different podcasts or other presentations I've done, different places. So you can,
Wow. Now
You
I
can-
just have to live long enough to absorb that.
so there we go. Okay. So now I'm going to go back here and stop presenting. So now you know where to find it.
I hope I can go through all that. I know the internet has not been so easy for me, but again, I keep learning lots.
Well, hey, that's the key to staying youthful, is continuing to learn.
To learn. Yeah.
Right.
Never stop learning.
Thank you.
Jen,
Yeah.
Jen, that's such good advice. Jen, could you put your email in the chat? I don't know why I don't have it, but then I can send you the birth information.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate that. Here we go. Okay.
Okay, there we go. I think I've even asked you for it before, but okay. And then the L. salivarius is from Daily. This is the one I've used. And I can't find a strain number online or on their promotional materials, which I know is not great. But next time we meet, I'll bring, I'll keep looking and I'll see what research is available, what is suggested for gout or uric acid, high uric acid, and also bring a list I made when I was with Dr. Davis's group and other microbes that support healthy levels of uric acid. So can I assume that this sugar shift, I'm lost on when we meet. Can I assume that we meet like 2 weeks from now?
Yes.
Is
2
that
weeks
how?
from now. Yep. That's how it
2
works.
weeks.
And then the book club is the second Tuesday.
For the second Tuesday. Okay.
I think, isn't that the way it is, Kevin? The second Tuesday?
I think it's the first, but I might
Maybe
have
it
been.
is. the first.
It's
Yeah.
the first.
I think it's the
Chris?
first because that's, yes,
Chris, could you repeat the name of that product again?
certainly.
Slowly.
Yes, L period.
Oh, yeah. Hold it up to the screen.
Okay. Oh, does that work? Or is it?
Yep.
It's backwards for me. L.
Daily.
No,
No, it's working.
oh, good, good.
So, you know what I was thinking? So that says L. salivarius. I was thinking, so lactobacillus and streptococcus are kind of related to each other. There is a well-studied strain called Streptococcus salivarius, Bliss K12 or something. And that's what I was thinking you were talking about, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is. I did even just in this short time find some research, NIH, that talked about another strain, but hey, I know this one works for me anyway.
yeah, so you might as well stick with it.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
So the Streptococcus salivarius makes you know how Dr. Davis talks about bacteriocins?
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes bacteriocin called salvaricin A2 and salvaricin B, both of which antagonize the growth of Streptococcus pyogenes. That's interesting because Chris, you know, in my early Parkinson's research and talking to people, a lot of them had childhood history of many strep infections.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So, you know, I wonder if, you know, something that would keep strep pyogenes in check would just be generally good for anybody.
Right, right, right. Did you get it?
Yes, I've got it. Thank you so much, Chris. And where do you buy it again?
Well, you can get it on Amazon, but you can get it off the internet from any number of sources, like from Daily directly.
Is
So
that
it's
Gaily or Daily?
Daily, like DAILY. Daily, not weekly, daily. So it's easy, pretty easy to find as far as the microbes go.
Can you see the cows moving in out there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-oh, one is in my
Oh,
bed.
Martha, how many cows?
50.
Oh my gosh.
One of them
Milk,
my garden.
milk
No,
cows
they're,
or
they're beef cows. Although there's one that is like, she's part milk cow. And you can definitely tell a difference in the amount of milk she makes for the babies compared to the other ones. Because a lot of the other babies will also come and nurse on her. She lets all the cows nurse on her.
Uh,
Life on the
Do they?
life
do
on
I
the
have
farm, yeah.
do I have time to relate a brief story about gout
Yes.
or
Yes, you do.
or what foods provoke it? I had my visiting son and daughter-in-law, and we took our measurements, our uric acid measurements early in their visit. And my daughter-in-law loves to shop. She came home with half a dozen. I live in a valley that produces beautiful vegetables. She came home with this beautiful sweet corn, six cobs, and I knew I didn't want to eat corn, but I broke down and I joined them eating the corn. And then the next day we took our uric acid levels. Mine had jumped, and this is Canadian measurements, from 440 to 660. And that's the only thing different that I had eaten all week.
Wow. Wow.
And everybody else's had really jumped. And my son, who had his uric acid under control, his had jumped over 100 points.
Oh, God.
Now, why
Wow.
would corn do that? Is it the sugar?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's Grand
The
Forks
sugar.
sweet corn. We're known for the sweet corn grown in our valley.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and yes, it's corn is also a grain, so there might be a double factor there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very
Well,
interesting.
those are some good stories tonight for me to hear, friends, about food and how it affects uric acid, which I don't really deal much with that because those items are not things that are in my normal good diet, but when I go off, they are. And there it was. I had that, I had that elevation, that quick elevation. So
Yes.
okay. Thank you for reinforcing my horrible experience.
Well, hey, that's how we learn when we hear from somebody else's mistakes, so we don't make it.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least when we get ready to make that mistake, that voice of somebody else who said, "Oh, this is what happened to me," can maybe prevent us from doing it.
I know it does help. It does help.
All right. Well, I think we're at our time clip here. It was I think it was a good call tonight. It was interesting. We covered a lot of topics in our little group tonight. I am trying to get Alan Lewis back to talk to us about some of the food stuff again. You may remember he talked to us about a year ago. He's a food policy person with Natural Grocers, and he works a lot with
yes.
the people in the grass-fed and the organic, and he's just a wealth of knowledge about what's going on in the food supply. And I'd really love to have him come talk to us and share with us what he knows about, what's going on in the new administration with, if they're going to do anything to clean up the food or what they're doing to clean up the food. And so I'm hoping to have him here in a couple of weeks. He was not available tonight. So
That sounds like a great guest, Martha.
Yes.
and if
Yeah.
he's
Look
not
forward to that.
available, I may do what I did with Petra, which is record him, and we can either play the recording or, we can play it. People can play it ahead. I can send it ahead of time, and people can watch it, and then we can discuss it. But hopefully, he'll be able to join us.
So Martha, on
Okay.
this tape, we had a discussion about the timing and book group. I said book group was the first Tuesday. You thought it might be the second. I know it once was the first Tuesday because it interferes with something that I like to be able to attend. So that's why I'm kind of sure about it, but maybe it's changed since then. And is there any way to check?
It is. The next one is October 7th. And that is,
And that's the second,
that's the book.
that's the
Dirty
first
Girl. Yeah. And that's the first,
Dirty Girl.
yeah, the book is Dirty
It's the
Girl.
first Tuesday. Okay, great.
So this is the book, Dirty Girl.
Okay.
Got it.
Wendy Trubo, MD, and Ed Leviton, MD. Ditch the toxins, look great, and feel freaking amazing. It'll
Sounds
have,
good too.
it'll have, it's, it's not long. It's got
Excuse me.
practical information, which I like to do that sometimes. And then, like, for the nerds of us who really love our probiotics. So I was cleaning out, I've made this sort of semi-commitment to myself that every time I leave and go down the hill, I'm going to get rid of something.
Oh.
So I cleaned out, I took 3 bags of books to the library this weekend, but as I was sorting through my bookshelves, I found this interesting little book called Probiotics and Prebiotics, or Prebiotics and Probiotics.
Mm-hmm.
And it, you know, it's a short little book, but it covers a lot of ground for a small book. So it goes into, it has a little section on the digestive tract. It has, you know, bacteria and, you know, the good and bad bacteria and what they do and references and stuff. But it's, you know, it's large print. It's not, and it talks about the different fibers and food sources of
Is
that.
there an author?
The author is J. Anthony von Fraunhofer. If you can you see that?
Yeah, because it's not coming up in Amazon.
So, you know, it's interesting. So I have this whole set of all these little books.
Oh, there it is. It's there. It's there. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, good.
From my
$4.
Russian friend, Dr. Luba Sichel. She founded, well, it's now called Stellar Biotics, but it was called Delimune. And when I first met her a decade ago, I asked her, like, what are your favorite books? I mean, you know, she's a microbiologist who's been studying stuff for 40, 50 years. And 40 years. She's not that old. But and she gave me a list of all these books, and I always talk about that one called The Life Bridge, which was one that she told me about.
Right.
But this was one of the other ones that she had listed.
Okay, great.
So we won't do this in book club, but for those of us who love our bugs, now I have something else to read before bed to try to, I'm trying to explain to Dr. Barry Ninham, like how the probiotic works and so then he actually has me thinking about probiotics in a whole new way, of course. So you guys know Raoul did the work with the ancient microbes that he revived from the amber. So, you know, 30 million years old, sleeping inside of amber, and he brought them back to life. And they have what are called these resuscitation genes.
Wow.
So I was having this conversation with Barry because, you know, people are always talking about whether or not bacteria survive stomach acid. So he was asking me some questions about that and about our capsule and different stuff. And I was talking to Steve Kazemi, who is the fermentation chemist I've known for a long time. And Steve said, well, I think it was Reuteri, Pediococcus, Bacillus subtilis, and Leuconostoc are all really hardy when it comes to pH. And they're also resistant to the CO2 that I talked about. So I think that's an interesting characteristic of the mixture of our strains. But anyway, I see in here. So then he was asking me, well, if they die in the stomach acid, do they have a memory to be able to revive themselves once they make it through the stomach? Of course, we know, like the soil-based organisms, they go into a spore form, and they do, you know. So if anything, if the environment isn't great for a spore former, it's in a spore, and it will wait until the environment is good before it starts to grow again. So often the spore forming bacteria actually, all their action is in a spore form, just communicating as it goes through the gut. I mean, it's not always, like, I'll say, growing. So we were talking about dead bacteria, if you will, because the cell walls of bacteria, we've talked about this before, but you know, when they break apart, the cell wall is some of those are called muramyl dipeptides. It's just a little sequence of genes, basically, a little piece of information, and those can have powerful action in the immune system because they're communicating with our mitochondria, they're communicating with our cells, and Luba's done a lot of work around that. So I was telling him, well, they have all these other actions, but they probably also have the ability to resuscitate, or this will sound crazy maybe, but it's me, so maybe it won't sound crazy. They're all in this big soup sharing genetic information, and it's all just a bunch of Legos. So, like, who's to say they couldn't assemble a bifidobacteria if they needed one? I mean, I know that sounds kind of like a crazy idea because we think about these strains like very precisely, but
Yes.
the gut's not really that precisely of an environment. So anyway, that was my musings of the last 24 hours. Can microbes resuscitate after they've kicked it?
Well, Dr. Davis actually talks about this. He doesn't talk about it. He talks about the mystery of it. So I want to be a fly on the wall with a conversation between the two of you talking about this topic. Please.
Yeah, I'm increasingly and I've actually had quite a few conversations with Raul about it because he also has. So he has this software called MEGA, and in the MEGA software, like when we get a strain of bacteria sequenced, you put it in the software, and it does this map of. So let's say it's a plantarum, but how much of? Well, actually, let's use ruteri because we isolated some ruteri, and then we basically mixed the ruteri with a bunch of different bugs to like see what would happen. And so then, okay, so we sequence the strains, and then we ran it through the MEGA, and it's like, okay, it's 52% ruteri and 12% match of this plantarum, and 10% of this other lactobacillus. It's like it's not a perfect match. And when you go into when they're typing a strain, it has to be, I think, 97% identical or 98% identical or something for them to call it X. So anyway, we've had a lot of discussions about, as Raul says, bacteria are pleiotropic. They shape shift and change and pick up genes and drop genes off. They're constantly adapting very quickly to the environment that they're in. So that's my closing salvo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
We'll
so
see you
much.
next year. I'm so glad that you spoke up tonight, Eva. We're glad to have you. And
Well, you get the credit for that.
Okay.
We're all glad you did.
Yeah. I love my people. I really love talking to the community and hearing what people have to say and listening to the questions, and that's what makes it all worth it.
Well, we appreciate you so much, Martha, and the work you're doing, and thank you everyone for your contributions tonight.
You too, Jen.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks.
And Chris.
Good night.
Good night. Good one.
Good night.